Athletes have become increasingly interested in the value of food and the effect their diet can have on the level of their performance. A nutrient is a chemical substance that we get from food that benefits our body in several ways, such as providing us with energy. Nutrients are subdivided into two groups. These are macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are needed in large amounts, and their main roles are to provide our body with energy. Another role of all of them is to provide material to build the structure of our body and help our body function efficiently in order to live. The three macronutrients are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Micronutrients are required in small amounts, however, are just as important to have in our diet. The nutrients don't provide our body with energy, however, work together with the three macronutrients in order for us to function sufficiently and sustain life. We use micronutrients to release the energy within the macronutrients, and therefore, if we didn't have micronutrients, we wouldn't be able to access the energy present in the larger nutrients. The two types of micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. There are also two other food groups. These do not fall into macronutrients or micronutrients, however, we require water and fiber within our diet. Water isn't always referred to as a nutrient due to the fact that it has no nutrient value. However, it is extremely important in order to enable our body to function and sustain life. Fiber is important within our diet in order to aid the digestive system. Carbohydrates are a major source of nutrients required in our diet. The average person should have an intake of 50 to 60% carbohydrates, as it is our main energy source which enables our body to function. Carbohydrates have an energy content of 1 gram, being the equivalent to 4 kilocalories. There are two types of carbohydrates. These are simple and complex carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates include sugar, syrup, jam, fudge, boiled sweets, and sports drinks, while complex carbohydrates include rice, pasta, couscous, potatoes, crackers, and bread. As previously said, carbohydrates are our main source of energy, and therefore it is important that we have a large amount of them in order to provide enough energy to several areas of our body. Carbohydrates provide energy for our brain to function, the liver to perform its function, and muscle contractions to occur at low and high intensities. Carbohydrates are digested and broken down into glucose. The glucose is absorbed at the small intestine stage, where it enters our bloodstream. At this stage, the glucose can either be immediately used to provide our body with energy, or excess glucose will be stored as glycogen in our liver or muscles. For example, our muscles contain 325 grams of glycogen, while our liver has 100 grams. Glycogen molecules are big, and therefore it is difficult for a large amount to be stored in our body. Our body is capable of storing approximately 1600 kilocalories of glycogen. This diagram shows the digestion of carbohydrates. There are three forms of carbohydrates. These are monosaccharides, disaccharides, and polysaccharides. Each form has a different amount of sugar molecules. These are called saccharides. Monosaccharides consist of one saccharide molecule. There are three different types of monosaccharides. Disaccharides consist of two saccharide molecules. Both monosaccharides and disaccharides are classed as simple carbohydrates because they have a simple chain structure that provides a short burst of energy that are made of individual single molecules. Simple carbohydrates cause spikes in the blood sugar levels. Polysaccharides have multiple molecules and have a much more complicated structure. This is known as a complex carbohydrate. They have more bonds to break and therefore take longer. This means that they provide slow release energy over a longer duration. This benefits athletes such as marathon runners who need energy at a steady pace for a long time. Polysaccharides are broken down through the digestive process in order to break them down into individual glucose molecules, where they are then absorbed into the bloodstream and used to produce energy. If a complex carbohydrate is to be heated in cooking process, then the bonds will start to break down before they reach the digestive system. Brown and natural forms of polysaccharide food sources have a greater nutrient value than those food sources that are white and refined. If an individual consumes too much carbohydrates and doesn't exercise and use much, then the excess carbohydrates will be converted and stored as fat, which leads to obesity and heart problems. Proteins are used to aid the structure of the body. The protein component is used to build various areas within the body. These include muscles, skin, internal organs, and ligaments. The main role of protein is to aid growth and repair, and it is also used as an energy source. The building blocks of protein are called amino acids. Amino acids are the smallest units within protein, and they link together to form the protein structure. Protein has a complex structure and is made up of carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen. There are 20 amino acids, however, not all of them are made by the body and therefore must be consumed in our diet. These 20 amino acids are capable of producing around 50,000 different proteins within our body. There are 8 essential amino acids and the other 12 are non-essential, and therefore our body is capable of producing them. Food that contain all the amino acids are known as complete proteins. Those that don't contain all of the amino acids are known as incomplete proteins. So complete proteins include meat, eggs, fish, milk, and soya, while incomplete proteins include bread, pasta, rice, oats, and nuts. The majority of complete proteins are sources from animals, whereas incomplete proteins are sources from plants. Complementary proteins is where 2 or more protein sources are combined to provide a complete protein diet, for example, beans on toast. The more amino acid content, the higher the biological value, meaning it helps the body function better. Functions of protein are to build structure, to provide functions, to perform functions, and to provide energy. Proteins are digestive and broken down into individual amino acids, and then they are made into amino acid chains in the liver to make protein. This helps the protein build the structure of our muscles, bones, internal organs, and connective tissue. If we didn't have protein, then we wouldn't be able to form the human structure effectively, and therefore we would be too weak to move or sustain life. Proteins are used to help the function of hormones, enzymes, the immune system, and the formation of lipoprotein. This is important because without the protein aiding these areas, the hormones won't be able to send messages to the cells for the release of adrenaline and insulin. The enzymes won't be able to speed up any reactions within the cells, and fats won't be transported around the body as efficiently. White blood cells are composed of protein, and therefore if we didn't consume protein, our body wouldn't be as capable of fighting off infections. Carbohydrates are used as the first energy source in aerobic exercise. However, protein is also a source of energy which is used in extreme conditions. The recommended intake of protein is between 15 to 20%, however this can vary. Fats are important within our diet for the function in our bodies. The amount of fat must be restricted to a certain extent due to too much consumption leading to health problems such as heart disease and obesity. Fats have several roles. These are protection of internal organs, thermoregulation, structural material for cells, storage of fat-soluble vitamins, providing energy, growth and repair, and supply essential fatty acids. Fats provide our body with a great amount of energy. 1 gram of fat is equal to 9 kilocalories. Fatty acids are the smallest units of fat. A fatty acid can be saturated or unsaturated. These both have different structures. Saturated fats are long, straight carbon chains that have no double bonds, while unsaturated fats have more double bonds introduced within the chain. This shape differ is important because it means that there is a differ in the function. Fatty acids can remain alone as fatty acids, however they can also be converted into triglycerides by linking glycerol with the fatty acids. There are 3 types of fats. These are saturated fats, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated fats. Saturated fats have all the carbon atoms attached to the hydrogen molecules through single bonds. When this structure is heated, it will not change, and therefore is known as being stable. Animal fats make the majority of saturated fats, and we should consume around 11% of saturated fats. Unsaturated fats is where hydrogen atoms are absent from the carbon chain, which results in these carbon atoms attaching to present hydrogen with double bonds. This is because carbon atoms have 4 bonds, and therefore those without hydrogen bonds alongside another carbon bond. Monounsaturated fats have one double bond in them due to the absence of one hydrogen. The absent hydrogen causes the structure to bend because the charge in the hydrogen atoms force the atoms away from one another. When monounsaturated fats are heated, unlike saturated fats, the structure changes. Around 13% of fat intake should be monosaturated fats. Polyunsaturated fats consist of multiple double bonds. This is because the absence of hydrogen in the structure causes them to bond to the same atoms. This structure is even more curved than the structure of a monosaturated fat. This is because of multiple double bonds. These are even more unstable, and when heated their structure will change further. Around 6.5% of fat intake should be polyunsaturated fats. Saturated fat structure doesn't change when heated, and the structure is always consistent. This is good because when they enter the fat cells, the cells will recognize them and know what to do with them, and therefore this speeds up their function. Unsaturated fats are also good because they improve circulation, lower cholesterol levels, and improve the health of our hair, nails, and skin. However, when unsaturated fats are heated, their structure changes and the fat cells aren't always able to recognize, and therefore it takes longer for the fats to do their job. Vitamins are required in small amounts but are important in our daily diet. Our body is unable to make most of the vitamins needed, which is why we must consume them in our diet. Different vitamins will have different physiological actions. Vitamins are subdivided into 2 types of vitamins. These are water-soluble and fat-soluble. Water-soluble vitamins are vitamins in which cannot be stored in the body, and therefore the nutrients are absorbed through the digestive system. If too much water-soluble vitamins are consumed, then they will pass through the digestive system and be excreted through urine. Fat-soluble vitamins can be stored in our body's fat, and this means that if the fat solubles aren't needed, they can be stored and used at a later time. If we consume too many fat-soluble vitamins, then this can lead to health problems. A lack in vitamins can lead to deficiency problems. These vitamins include vitamin A, which is needed around 7 milligrams. It's a fat-soluble and it aids our eyesight, bones, teeth, and skin and hair. The sources are dark green vegetables and carrots. However, if we don't have them, then this can reduce night sight and cause dry skin. Vitamin B is needed in 40 milligrams. It's a water-soluble and its function is energy production. We can get this from meat, milk, and vegetables. However, a lack of vitamin B can lead to a loss of appetite. Vitamin C is needed in 1 milligram and is water-soluble. It is part of the immune system, and the sources can be found in fruit, such as oranges. Without it, it leads to an increase of risk of illness and infection. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble. It strengthens bones and assists muscle contractions and calcium absorption. We can find this in sources such as egg yolk, liver, and the sun. The sun should be able to give us enough. Without this causes weaker bones and weaker muscle contractions. Vitamin E is a fat-soluble. It protects the cell's walls and can be found in nuts and seeds. With the absence of it, it can lead to damaged cells. And vitamin K is a fat-soluble too. It assists in blood clotting and can be found in milk and cabbage. This can lead to a decrease in clotting if enough is not consumed. Minerals. Minerals are required in order to maintain a healthy body. These are required in small amounts.